Hi, welcome back. We are on episode 55. And where are you going to take us today?
Well, today we're going to be actually getting very close to the very sad happenings,
Right.
and we're going to spend basically this episode talking about Judah, Yeshua, of course, and the vision he has with Cernunnos.
Okay.
So Cernunnos is
Cernunnos?
it's some kind of a deity which lives mostly in England and the northern part of Europe. It's an enormous buck, a deer, right?
Oh, okay. Okay.
Which has the legend goes that that deer dies
Mhm.
at a certain time of the year to be reborn.
Okay.
Yeah. And so
Oh, okay.
it's probably coming from some pagan
Hmm.
influence,
Right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
We could talk more about it, but I really didn't look into it in great detail. So,
Okay.
yeah. So the way it starts is by Yeshua is saying, the body is the gate, the heart its lock, and love is the key. And this is how Yeshua started his teachings on the second floor of a house, which is located on a very busy street inside Jerusalem. And there was an old door which was separating the place from the street. And that old wooden door, and then there was a staircase that was leading to a very large room located under the roof, so on the second floor.
Hmm.
And that room would basically be used by the large number of disciples, more than 100, to meet on a regular basis within Jerusalem. Because as we saw from in the previous episode, they could not go anymore to Uncle Yusuf
Right.
or
They're kind of
Nicodemus.
trying to
Yeah,
protect them.
yes, they had to
Hmm.
protect them because those people were being watched and
Hmm.
monitored. Yeah. And so that little place was found by Philip. He had managed to find that discreet location where Yeshua and his disciples could meet in peace, And as Yeshua said, more than 100 people could fit in a large room. They were probably,
Right.
crammed a little bit, but
Sardines.
yes,
Hmm.
but they could fit.
Hmm.
And to recognize the house, there was some secret sign which had been traced on one of the stones. And that sign, I think it's interesting to know, it is basically four vertical lines
Hmm.
crossed by four horizontal
Oh,
lines.
okay.
Yeah. And what Yeshua is saying that only Eleazar, John, Judah, and Simon, and a couple of other people knew the meaning of that symbol. So it is an esoteric symbol. And it's actually what is being drawn on the surface of a metal during an alchemical process.
Oh, okay.
Right before the metal becomes gold,
Oh.
those four lines, vertical and horizontal,
Mhm.
are appearing. It's probably some line of energies,
Right,
which are
right.
being drawn.
Interesting.
Yeah. And that symbol was reproduced on the stones of a few of the homes where the disciples were living. So they knew with that discrete sign, where they were.
Right.
But nobody else knew about that. So Judah, again, is very happy about all this installation in Jerusalem and the amount of people listening now to Yeshua when he speaks, And he goes, "You see, Master, everything is coming together. Nobody can ignore your name and what you're accomplishing. Our number is increasing. Yesterday, 10 of our people arrived from Capharnaum, from the lake. Everybody here will want you to be the Messiah, even though you shook the temple a few weeks ago." So in the previous episode, we saw the storming of the
Right,
temple. Yeah.
right.
And at this point, Yeshua grabs Judah by the shoulder and places his forehead against Judas. And he goes, "Judah, my friend, my brother, will you finally understand why do you say our people? Everyone in this world are our people. Why are you so obstinate about not recognizing that we are all of the same family? Listen, we are all sharing the same vessel sailing toward the same sun, the planet Earth, right? including the mice and rats that are running along the walls tonight. I'm asking you, Judah, stop erecting borders and scaffoldings to arrive where you want to go. You say that they want me to be the Messiah, but I am him, no matter what they do. You want me to meet Pilate, then organize a meeting your own way. I have nothing to tell him that may satisfy him or worry him. I have nothing to hide. I have no other goals than to bring down love among us. Regarding the Sanhedrin, I know that I am disturbing them, but if you meet them, tell them that I do not want any of their positions or crown of this earth, because I already have one and it is part of my soul. If they don't understand what it means, it is because they don't want it. And at that point, Yeshua looks deeply into Judas' eyes, and the Christic energy says again in Yeshua, Judah, my brother, do you know what is your destiny? And Judah is kind of mumbling, and he says, but to serve you, master, to serve you. Are you doubting? And Yeshua responds, no, Judah, no. If you want to continue calling me master, know that I do not need servants, and that it is not me that you are serving, but a much greater cause than both of us, because I am also serving myself. What I'm asking you is to not lie to yourself and to recognize without escaping the time of your real service. And Judah hesitates and he says, what do you mean? And Yeshua responds, nothing else than that. When you will be master of all the betterment for others, then listen to yourself. And at that point, Judah is a little bit stunned, and cannot move. And Yeshua kisses him with tears in his eyes.
As he knows.
Yeah, his heart knew what his mind preferred to not even imagine, what Judah could do. And Yeshua is going to lead Judah and meet Miriam and Martha further away. And the little group walks to the bedside. So the bedside is the location where they meet also, all the Essenes meet. And it is outside of the fortress of Jerusalem. So it's outside of the gates. And at the bedside, Yeshua meets his mother and finds her full of sadness. Yeah, Miriam
She's
is a little...
starting to feel it.
Yes, she knows. She knows. And Yeshua takes her hand in his hands and easily guesses, what is going on. And apparently, after the capture of the official chief of the zealots, Barabbas, another zealot was now impersonating him and taking the name of Yeshua again to maintain the confusion, right? And the attacks in the village were more numerous than before, and on the main roads where the Romans are patrolling. So it was a kind of a big mess again. And Yeshua tells his mother, it is all these new attacks and all the blood spilled which are affecting your mother, right? And she says, not only that, nobody knows who is this new chief who took the name of Yeshua. I tell you, the city is not good for you, my son. I am having some dreams, and I feel it. This city is not good for you. But, and at that point, Miriam and Yeshua look at each other in the eyes for a long time. And Yeshua says, I know it, mother. I know it. But it is what Awun is asking me for a lot of reasons. He's giving me the choice. Do you understand? And that is the most difficult. Because he would just take an instant, a word from me, and tomorrow we could all go back to the lake.
That must be very hard for a mother to know that's going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of people would be relieved. But would you like that? And Miriam smiled with some sadness and hides her face, with her veil, hiding her first gray hair. I guess she's probably worried, yeah. No, because of all the things that you would give up, those things would follow us constantly. and he would be ugly forever. Yeah. And Yeshua appreciates that she says us, because it's including herself as well as Yeshua into what had happened and would happen in the future. Yeah. So later on, in the same bedside, Miriam, Marcus, the son of Miriam, Shlomit, Yakuba, and Tadi, which is James, in our world, the brother of Yeshua, they are joining Yeshua and Miriam, the mother. And they needed to be close by. And Yeshua asked Shlomit, will you cut my hair and trim my beard tomorrow, Shlomit? So Shlomit is always in charge of grooming him. So Yeshua is trying to instill a normal life among the members of his family, and his closest disciples. And a master could not express himself without a perfect humility, according to him,
Right.
And Yeshua has never been petrified in his role of teacher, and he has always tried to live a simple life like all his disciples. It is false that each of his gesture, action, and words were recorded. That never happened.
Oh.
So the people say that, they follow him all the time and they've recorded everything.
Yeah.
And it's in the scripture. It's all BS. So love for Yeshua was learning how to care in the silences and all the small acts of the daily life. This was love for him, more than anything else. It was about sharing a fruit or drinking a cup together, a cup of wine or water, and turning these simple acts into sacredness. See, we don't have to search for a lot of stuff.
Right.
It is very simple.
Right. It is.
Yeah.
It's too simple, so people can't believe it.
Exactly.
And I bet the complication of 1,000 pages
Yes.
of different Bibles, different interpretations that make it so confusing. So.
And always the intermediary, the middleman,
right
in between. So a few weeks are passing with an apparent tranquility. The people in Jerusalem are in fact much more receptive than what Yeshua expected at first. So he's actually quite happy with their progress, and the way they are absorbing and learning from his teachings. And of course, a lot of men and women were thirsty of miracles, but the groups and assemblies are getting bigger every day. And Yeshua realized that his body is tired also, physically, despite the energy that Elohim gives him every night. So every night he gets recharged by the extraterrestrial help, Yes, I wish. In appearance, everything was peaceful, teaching, healings. But in fact, the province of Judea was splitting in two groups. So there was the people on one side and the elite and the Sanhedrin on the other side, of course. Yeah. And the stench of jealousy, egoism, and lies was not escaping the senses of Yeshua. They could smell all that, His presence was disturbing those who profit and enjoy the collective slumber of the populations. Right, Nothing has changed.
Right, really nothing.
I mean, why change a good recipe when it works, right? Yeah. So spring was coming. Yeshua decides to teach his closest disciples on the truth of the death experience and the plans that the souls are building after transitioning. He feels that the urgency to teach all that because things could change any moment.
Right.
So he knows deep down that something is brewing, right? It was impossible for his disciples to continue teaching if they did not have a clear understanding of the death process. And to teach life, they had to know about death and the transition. I wish this would be...
Do you think Yeshua knew at this time that he was going to be crucified?
Well, I don't think he knew he would be crucified, but he knew that something had to change. Yeah, there was an acceleration. There was a need because, I mean, let's face it. He was teaching, healing, being around, not disturbing many people beside the Sanhedrin and the elite and the authorities, right? But if you want to move to the next level, something else had to happen. Right. Yeah. And so spring, as we know, is a rebirth. right? And this is again symbolized by Cernunnos, the rebirth of the deer, which has been killed, right? But each rebirth carries in it the end of life, because if there is rebirth, there is also death, right? Then this was obvious for Yeshua, and he could not envision his life to come without the decisive crossing, leaving a world behind him. So one night in Bethany, while walking in the garden of Martha, again, our audience may remember that he doesn't sleep in Jerusalem anymore, but he walks back to Bethany and he spends the nights in Bethany. So Yeshua is pulled into a vision for the least unexpected. So he was not expecting that. Yeah. Near a fig tree, he sees a giant buck with enormous antlers facing him. And he had never seen such majestuous animal, I mean, he has been traveling a lot to different countries, but I guess the buck or the deer was not part of those Asian and Indian countries, yeah. So the buck is observing Yeshua, who sits down to be more receptive for the message, And strangely, the animal has a large wound on the right side of his body. And blood is oozing out of it. So the wound is leaving Yeshua unaffected, as if it was in the nature of things. He doesn't really relate to that.
Okay.
Yeah. The wound and the blood oozing out of it are symbolic, in fact, of the death and the life, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the wound is the death, of course, but the blood is also the rebirth.
Okay.
Yeah. And Yeshua goes, Father, Father, talk to me. Scream to me what you want me to understand and what you expect of me. And fortunately or unfortunately, his father is in fact so much inside Yeshua that only the language of his heart can bring an answer.
Oh gosh.
He's not going to get the big booming voice in his head.
He's fully embodied.
Yeah. And Yeshua continues, my life, like Yohanan, John the Baptist, is that what is needed? And the deer at that point says, your life. What do you call your life? What is lent to you for the service of the plan?
Temporary.
Yes. These words, the plan, pushes Yeshua into a familiar vision. And again, he sees himself sitting in Shambhala, in the fifth dimension or sixth dimensional plane. And he's surrounded by a large assembly on a large square, walled by stones, light, and water. All eyes are directed to him. And this is a vision that he had many times in the past. Gazes of softness and strength, gazes of an infinite wisdom. Men, women, all wondering. And what they say to him is this, thus, it could be you. Are you accepting that mission, Sananda? And again, for the audience, as I recall, Sananda is his cosmic name, the name of the soul. And he goes, yes, that is true. I will be Yeshua, that name, that body, and that life. And at that point, Yeshua comes out of the vision. And of course, the deer disappears. And these words, which has been with him forever, right? And we have seen that, we have heard that a few times. And he's realizing that his life is not really his, but it was lent to him, that it was his challenge, but also a chance to embrace the infinite by teaching love. So Yeshua is a child of Shambhala. He's actually also a star child. And now more than ever, he has to cross the coming wall of fire by reactivating his memories. So during the night, his thoughts are going to Judah. The exchange that took place was a few weeks old, but Yeshua could feel something brewing in Judah, something that nobody could stall. And Yeshua came to the conclusion that if something was breaking the apparent tolerance that Yeshua was benefiting in Jerusalem, it would happen through Judah. So Judah would be the instrument of breaking the peace and the routine that took
Right.
place in this group. And Judah was the fulcrum, the convergence of different sensitivities, needs, hopes, angers, and revolts, and his obstination to be a messenger. It had to trigger the inevitable. So it was necessary for things to move, and Yeshua could feel that they all had reached a breaking point. And Eleazar, the first disciple, being ultra sensitive, addresses Yeshua and he says, "Well, Master, Judah is worrying me. I feel that he's losing his light."
Oh, everybody was feeling it, huh?
Yeah. Sometimes he tells me about things that are turning in his head. He can be convincing. He knows how to say the words that persuade. You know it. And he loves you and all of us. But there is always something brewing in him. Too much of everything, too many dreams. Forgive me, Master. I know that Judah is trying to do good, but often I see the slyness of evil in him.
Ooh.
Yeah. And Yeshua responds to that and he says, "You said good and evil, Eleazar? Do you think that things are so contrasted? If good can become evil one day, the reverse is also true."
Takes a little longer, I think.
Right. One can, that's a very good point. One cannot be without mingling with the other one. Both are attracting each other. I never stopped teaching you that. As soon as you call the light, the darkness lurks and soon appears. Is Judas the darkness? No, but the darkness loves him for his fire. It needs him. So, and then Eleazar goes, "Thus, we have to stop him, Master, and wash what is in his head." A few days ago, I saw him talking with men at the gate of the Sanhedrin. And Yeshua responds, "And so, did you forget that Yusuf is part of the Sanhedrin too? I'm telling you, let Judah do what he has to do.
Oh, yeah.
Do not judge him. Do not condemn him, as he is trying to prove that he exists and that he can have some influence on the story of his country." Yeah, because Judah is very proud.
Right.
He really wants to leave.
He wants to be seen.
He wants to leave an imprint,
Right.
Too.
He does.
Yeah. And Yeshua continues talking to Eleazar. Your soul does not remember it, Eleazar, but you had your time to claim some influences in the past. Pride reveals solitude, you see. Tomorrow, when you see Judah, hug and kiss him. And you may have noticed it, but it is always him that kisses and who is never kissed spontaneously by all of you. Yeah.
Everybody kind of knows something.
Right.
Yeah, on some level.
So the following evening, Yeshua is sitting in a bench in the garden in his uncle Yusuf, and spring is coming and the flowers are budding on the trees, and so he's tying his long hair with a fine lace made of leather. So that lace of leather is disturbing some of his disciples, and they were not supposed to have any animal byproduct on their body.
Oh, okay.
So they could have shoes, sandals made of leather, but nothing on the body and absolutely nothing on the head, right? And what about this? Yeshua was also wearing a satchel, made of leather that he was carrying on his shoulder. And Yeshua is analyzing himself, and he comes to the conclusion that he's just a challenge to the order of this world, right? To his culture, and that one day or the other, this country, Palestine, would revolt against the intruder he was. The picture of a splinter stuck in the heel that the flesh ends up expulsing comes to his mind. That's not a good omen.
No.
And Miriam, his wife, comes and she said, "You seem worried this morning, Rabboni." And she comes behind Yeshua and she embraces him with her arms around his waist, right? And he said, worried? No, not really. I don't even know if I can be worried. A wound takes so much space inside me, and sometimes it hurts. And this is probably what you are feeling right
Yeah.
now.
He doesn't have room to feel anything
Yeah.
else.
And Miriam responds,
Mm.
why do you say hurt? Since it is a wound, God,
Right.
right? And Yeshua responds, because it went all the way to the end of my flesh and my soul. And now I feel that I am too small for him
Oh,
and that he
thinking
must
about it.
spread beyond me and
Mhm.
perhaps I will have to disappear.
Mhm.
And Miriam is shocked. And she said, you want to go away? And Yeshua responds, some birds have to migrate. It is not because they want it. At that point, Miriam releases Yeshua. She was embracing him, and she says, I'm afraid. You're scaring me. And Yeshua responds, afraid of what? And Miriam says, afraid of all this, to lose you. I don't know. I'm confused, And Yeshua goes, Miriam, listen to me. You only lose what you own. And then, can you tell me what is all this for you? A story I created that you do not know what to do with it because it is taking too much space in you?
She's worrying too much, in
Yeah.
other words.
And she goes, no, Rabuni, no, I do not want to say that nor cling to you. You're not mine. But we are all afraid. What is happening is so, and again, Yeshua cuts her and he says, so what, Miriam? And she continues, I do not know. You teach, you heal. People want you to walk on their clothes. They are touching your feet. And it is right and marvelous. And the eternal is here, always with you. Even the Romans are not saying anything. However, there is like a thunder hiding in our silence. Everything is too quiet.
Oh boy.
And Yeshua goes, yes, it is calm, as when he's about to speak. And Miriam says, he? With a question mark, Well, Miriam, you understood me. He or she, or rather, what does not need words, and who knows all the way to express itself without going through me.
Wow.
So a few days are going to pass, and Pesa is arriving. So the Pesa is the name used for Easter.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Yeah, that's right. I think I
Yeah.
remember that last time.
So what we can see in Jerusalem is interesting. It's herds of sheep and lambs are invading the streets of Jerusalem with the background of gongs coming from the temple. The crowds are getting bigger every day. And nobody, with the exception of Miriam, the mother of Yeshua, knows that all these signs are not a celebration or a feast for Yeshua. So everybody, is probably rejoicing of all this,
Right.
yearly celebration, but those two characters are not so happy about it. And the reason is it was the feast of the blood obtained by the slaughtering of all these animals, whose throats would be cut for a reason that Yeshua could not understand. And we know that the blood would be spilled all over the place and run through the streets, Yeah, there were so many of it.
Such a massacre.
And it is actually something that they used to do in Babylon, 15 or 2,000 years before. And nothing has changed. They kept the same rituals here. So Yeshua was respecting this because the entire population was dedicating their faith through these satanic rituals. And all these atrocities were supposedly a form of gratitude and a prayer to the eternal. And because the eternal took that population out of Egypt, according to the scriptures, right?
Right.
However, Yeshua knows that this was not true and that the scriptures had been modified. Okay? And what we learn from the Akashic records.
And they continue to be modified.
Yes, of course, yeah. what we learn from the Akashic records is that the Hebrews left Egypt with the blessings and the agreement of the Pharaoh. So they were not escaping or anything like that. Yeah. And actually, some of the Jews, the most intelligent ones, were initiated and synthesized by Akhenaton, the Pharaoh of that time. And these initiates would later on create the Essenian community and the secret schools of mysteries.
Okay.
So this is where it's coming from.
Okay.
Yeah. So those were disciples of the Pharaoh and the Greek knowledge. The Egyptian knowledge. Yeah. And so the story about wandering for 40 years in the desert is not exactly what happened. Yeah. But again, to each his own.
Right.
So the Holy Week of Easter is approaching, and the Romans are monitoring all activities, fearing some zealots' rebellions. The women on their side are walking near the walls, hiding their face to strangers coming from all different countries. Because it's much more than the regular residents of Jerusalem.
Right.
And so everybody who is embracing the beliefs of Abraham is coming to Jerusalem, for that celebration. And we know that the women are not allowed in discourses and meetings related to religious themes, right? And as such, they were trying to be discreet, busy only with the preparation of the meals and the food, right? That's their domain. The scriptures and the spiritual matters are for the men only.
Okay.
Yeah. And Yeshua on his side is gathering as often as possible all the disciples that came from the lake and from Jericho. And there were exactly 120 in that second floor room, and they were all meeting on that in that room. And Yeshua is advising all his disciples to no longer wear the white robe of the Essenes, because they really have to blend with the rest of the people and not
stand out.
Not stand out and be very discreet.
It'll keep them safer. Yeah.
And one evening was more solemn than the other days. The real threat was always the Sanhedrin and their minions, because they had spies, basically, And so they were always concerned about having spies among their groups or anything.
God, nothing's changed.
No, nothing has changed.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And those minions were watching and monitoring the activities of all the Essenes, because the Sanhedrin didn't like that. And Yeshua knew it. He knew it because his uncle Yusuf and Nicodemus were telling him, what was going on.
Right.
And traditionally, for the most part, Yeshua would answer questions from his disciples, It is for him the best way to touch the heart of his people. And after that, they would use to share some food. However, on that night, Yeshua does not answer questions and decides to talk about freedom. The time has come, and Yeshua is expecting from them that they start expressing the understanding and the power of love by themselves without him. So he's trying to graduate them in a way, right? He wants them to become adult in their souls, master of their thoughts and words, spreading the light without even making a reference to Yeshua.
Oh, okay.
Yep. He wants them to be living examples of the simplicity that is Yeshua and his teachings, right? He wants them to be not disciples of Yeshua, but disciples of life, eager and willing to teach natural laws without inventing anything human with a divine color on them,
Right.
Yeah, this has to be avoided. Yeshua's desire is to erase completely all traces of dogmatism and power in those who would be the messengers of his teachings. So, no power, no dogmatism, no dogma.
Right.
His hopes are in the multiplication of the act of loving, and not to dictate and list a bunch of so-called laws, created by an all-powerful being which was so far from the human being that it was unreachable. And that's how, everything has been created and painted to us. The spirit of life for Yeshua was nothing else than the human itself. So, holding the hands of Miriam, he finally tells his disciple the following: If I am telling all this, my friends, it is because very soon I will have to get in the background.
No.
It is necessary for the good and the better, as it is desired by Hawun through me, your brother Yeshua. Do not be alarmed. From where I will be able to guide you and turn the loving brook, which is inside you, into a river. Very soon, I saw it. You will be spread through mountains, seas, plains, and deserts, and my will is for you to try to understand the meaning and the goal of all this. My being is not important. What counts is for you to build the foundations of a new stream of thoughts, of an art of being in the giving, and a union with the everything and its forces. The essential is for you to become a support in your acts and words that you have received from the Father through me. Most importantly, do not build a dogma. Reject all that looks like one. Teach the harmony. Do not create, wherever you go, a new faith while thinking that you can serve the eternal better than anybody else.
Oh, be humble.
Yeah. You need to talk about the universal unity of all people, because what the souls and the hearts need is the collapse of the borders.
Mm-hmm.
I am telling you, I'm aware that the time that passes and its memory will make all your efforts a challenge. The race of humans on this planet is still very young, and it is sometimes difficult for it to stand on its two legs. However, despite all this, always try to link the hearts to the source, their source. And I guess we can all relate to that, right?
Right.
How far away
Mm-hmm.
the scriptures, all of them
Right.
have taken us, so far away. So Yeshua will continue talking about love, freedom, simplicity, and the sense of unity for a long time during that night, And everyone had to become a master and let life flow through him or through her. And Yeshua finally says, if the world forgets my name, it is of no importance. Because the energy that is flowing through me was just lent to me. That energy would find later another path in the future.
Yeah. It's pretty funny. So in case you guys forget me, meanwhile, he's survived it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So Yeshua on that night is giving everything, telling his disciple the naked truth of what he was teaching. He tells them about the vision of Cernunnos, the buck, the deer, the large deer, in the forest. And finally, they are sharing some food. And Yeshua is going to break each one of the flatbread and distribute them with some olives, a dressing made with cereals, and a little bit of dry fish. And that is what they eat. And then he does the same with some wine, not very good, but the only one they found. He then tells the Quadish, which is a benediction of the bread used by the Essenes. And they finally eat. And at the end, Yeshua is trying to joke about the Romans or the travelers of the desert, as he's very well aware that what he just told his group sounded more like a will than anything else.
Oh, like his last will?
Like a New
gosh.
Testament.
Yeah.
So most of them are amused by the jokes, not realizing the magnitude of what has been said to them, And Yeshua is moving among them, wandering among his disciples, 120 of them, to foster life and hopes, And at the end, they finally pray. And for Yeshua, it was the last time that he was surrounded by the 108 most important of his disciples, right?
Wow. Okay.
So some may have felt it because some tears were running in the deep silence of the night, And everybody's going away, and Miriam's hands come into Yeshua's hands. And Yeshua is asking Awun, the living, the eternal, that everything is soft, the softest possible.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably for himself and everybody,
Mhm.
right?
So it's interesting. I just wanted to say that about the numerology and the numbers. I mean, the Bible always talks about 12 apostles, 12 disciples. There were many more than that. I
Yeah,
mean, he had actually 108, which
Yeah.
is a sacred number,
Right.
right? Yeah. And something else I want to say too, it's about the duration of his life. It is said that the Christic energy came to him in him when he was 30, and then he died at 33 years old. This is again completely false, right?
Well, according to this
According
reading,
according to the memory of nature,
Mhm.
we are going to come to that, but he was in Jerusalem teaching, not in Jerusalem, but in Palestine, teaching for 6 years,
Okay.
right?
Mhm.
When he came back from Egypt. So, yeah, all these numbers are Masonic numbers,
Right.
which have very little to do with the reality.
Allegedly.
Yeah, the 3, the 12, the 33,
Yeah.
Oh, 33 days.
Oh.
Yeah, to find the killer of Charlie Kirk.
That's right.
Yeah.
Ay, ay, ay. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate that. And we appreciate you tuning in and hope to see you next week, and like and subscribe.